Bethesda Elementary tomorrow.
This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. Speaker of the House Jim Wright, one of the most powerful men in government, second in line for succession to the presidency, took his do-or-die fight-back campaign for his honor and office directly to the public today. Wright is trying to fight off what he sees as a Republican political attack on him and his ethics and his wife. Wright is also defending himself in private, calling for a quick hearing before the House Ethics Committee. Some members of the committee have been leaking information that indicates the committee may be ready to cite Wright for dozens of violations. All this comes amid increasing talk of escalating revenge and counter-revenge on Capitol Hill and debate over shifting standards for the private lives of public officials. CBS News national correspondent Phil Jones, who first broke major portions of the Wright story, begins our coverage tonight.
With virtually all the Democratic House leadership standing shoulder to shoulder behind him, the once Golden Gloves boxing champ and current Speaker of the House entered the ring today for the battle of his life against alleged ethical wrongdoing.
I will fight to the last ounce of conviction and energy that I possess.
Even as the Ethics Committee was still deliberating, Speaker Wright demanded an early opportunity to appear before it, then launched into a detailed and at times emotional defense on charges that he accepted gifts from his business partner, George Malik, gifts designed to influence legislation.
In all the years that I've known him, he has never once asked me to intercede in his behalf with any branch of government.
On charges that his wife Betty's salary and the use of a car from the Malik Wright-owned company were improper gifts, a near-tearful Speaker came out swinging.
I want to say to you that my wife is a good, decent, caring, thoroughly honorable person. And I'll damn well fight to protect her honor and her integrity against any challenge by any source, whatever the cause.
And on charges that Wright and his staff tried to skirt the limits on outside income by asking groups to buy his book instead of paying for normal honoraria, Wright denied any wrongdoing.
Well, that was never my intention. I never asked anybody to buy books in exchange for my making a speech.
Clearly worried about the Speaker's survival, his friends today attacked the press and a lynch atmosphere that equates accusations with guilt.
Anyone who makes an automatic presumption against anyone before they've heard the evidence and heard the defendant ought to resign.
More people understand he hadn't been telling them all this. You know, and y'all have not, bless your little cotton-picking hearts, haven't been writing it either.
The right strategy now is to fight hard, demand a fast resolution by the Ethics Committee, and a quick showdown on the House floor. For Wright, it's all or nothing. Phil Jones, CBS News, Washington.
There is growing concern on Capitol Hill that the Wright case could be just the first shot in a new partisan war, with ethics charges as the ammunition.
By the new standards that now prevail in congressional politics, everything matters, everything is fair game, nothing is irrelevant.
Supporters of Speaker Wright say that if he's punished because his wife had a paying job and he took favors from a friend, everyone is now vulnerable.
And I would suggest that all of my colleagues who are thinking of voting for that sanction had better think about where they spent the night for the last 6 months or who paid the green fees where they played golf.
But some Republicans say it's about time that Congress cleaned up its act.
Congress has failed on numerous occasions to come down against individuals whose indiscretions have been rather substantial.
Already, the Ethics Committee has been asked by Democrats to investigate charges against Wright's chief accuser, Georgia Republican Newt Gingrich, for a questionable book deal of his own. On the other side, Republicans want to target another Democratic leader, Tony Coelho, for accepting campaign contributions from a failing Texas Savings and Loan and for unusual investments in junk bonds. And both parties are keeping lists of potential violators. The Democrats would go after Republicans like Buzz Lukens, accused of having sex with a teenaged girl, and Joseph McDade, under investigation for taking gifts from a scandal-ridden defense contractor. The Republicans have their sights on Democrats like Harold Ford, under indictment for tax fraud, and Robert Garcia, implicated in the WedTech scandal.
There will be a difficult to contain impulse to settle all sorts of political scores by filing ethics violations.
The Republicans wasted no time firing first in the ethics war, passing out these buttons today, saying it's not just right, it's Quello too. But a tit-for-tat strategy could be risky. As one Democrat put it, the danger is that in the next election, the voters will just decide to throw all the rascals out. Deborah Potter, CBS News on Capitol Hill.
The defense rested at the Oliver North criminal trial today. This followed prosecutor John Kecker's final cross-examination of North, again strongly challenging North's claims that he was just the fall guy for higher-ups, only following orders, didn't break laws, didn't help himself or his operatives to profit off the weapons for Iran deal. CBS News law correspondent Rita Braver has our report.
Oliver North looked pale and drawn as he wound up 6 days of intense testimony discussing what he called the secret within the secret, the diversion of Iran arms funds to the Contras. For the first time today, he charged that President Reagan and Attorney General Edwin Meese's original announcement of the diversion was part of an elaborate cover story. North explained, "It was very clear to me that this was part of everyone pointing the finger at Ollie North and saying that he was the only one who knew what was going on. And I must say, this was the way it was supposed to be." But prosecutor John Kecker alleged that before Meese announced the diversion, North told Meese this.
"The only persons in the United States government that knew precisely about this, the only person was Lieutenant Colonel North."
And Kecker suggested that North never claimed that CIA Director William Casey knew until Casey was dead. "Do you remember telling Meese Casey knew?" North, "I don't recall telling him or not telling him." North rejected Kecker's allegation that North hid from Meese the fact that arms merchant Richard Secord ran the financial scheme at big profits. North insisted that Meese garbled the facts at the news conference in the rush to get this out because of everybody's concern about impeachment. Kecker chose to end his cross-examination by returning to what North has always said was his worst mistake, creating phony letters to disguise his acceptance of a free home security system.
I did probably the grossest misjudgment that I've made in my life.
And today, North seemed humiliated as he admitted that he went to the typewriter display at this department store to type the letters. Tomorrow, the prosecution will put on a few witnesses to rebut North's case, and his fate will be in the hands of the jury by next week. Rita Braver, CBS News at the federal courthouse in Washington.
The House late today passed a bill authorizing nearly $50 million in non-military aid for the Nicaraguan Contra rebels. This is a compromise between President Bush and the Democratic-controlled Congress designed to keep the Contras in existence through next February, when Nicaragua has promised to hold free elections. The whole issue now goes to the Senate. Mixed verdict today in the first trial stemming from the still unfolding and slow-going investigation of defense contract fraud inside and outside the U.S. Defense Department. The federal court jury in Alexandria, Virginia, found former Teledyne Corporation Vice President George Cobb guilty of conspiracy and fraud. The jury acquitted him of bribery. Former Teledyne Vice President Eugene Sullivan was also found guilty of conspiracy and fraud. The jury found him not guilty of bribery. A third defendant, Dale Snitger, was acquitted on all counts. Still to come on the CBS Evening News, a verdict out of Chicago, and Susan Spencer on cautious hope for an AIDS drug from the Chinese cucumber root, and Ron Allen on the Mexican cult murders as a suspect digs up a 13th body.
Gas pain, bloating. Gas-X has the strongest, fastest relief ingredient. Painful gas is like beer bubbles. Add the leading antacid. Add Gas-X. Only Gas-X gets rid of the gas. The strongest, fastest reliever for gas pain and bloating. Gas-X.
Checking in.
We interrupt this transaction for a reminder.
So what's your approach?
There's one travel tip it pays to remember.
We've got one good option.
Choosing the card that actually pays you cash. Cash back for every charge. The Discover card.
Daddy loves you too. Nice job, everybody.
It pays to Discover, the card that pays you back.
Never thought it'd work. Send everybody from the plant to school. Give us union guys a say in running things. Look, 1 million cars from right here. Wasn't easy. But I figure GM customers are getting some of the best-built cars in America from these guys. So, I guess it is working.
The UAW GM Training Partnership is now the largest private educational program in the world.
Not this much, not this much, just this much. New Advanced Formula Kaopectate works fast to relieve diarrhea and cramps, and it tastes better too. New Advanced Formula Kaopectate, more than ever, the diarrhea specialist.
The effects of the great Exxon Corporation oil spill grew more ominous and more painful today as James Hattori reports from Alaska. The toll in animal life is becoming increasingly apparent and agonizing.
As the Exxon oil slick drifts and breaks up along Alaska's Kenai Peninsula, it's also spreading out, casting long-term pessimism.
The concern is this is a major disaster. It's one of the major disasters of the century.
The spill now covers 3,000 square miles. Its leading edge 200 miles southwest of where it began, posing new threats to the town of Kodiak and Homer. Also today, Interior Secretary Manuel Lujan signed an agreement with Exxon, providing $15 million to begin assessing the damage after complaining the oil company was dragging its feet.
It doesn't really make any difference whether somebody has their heart in it or not, but they sure will have their wallet in it.
2 otter pups left Alaska today for an aquarium in Monterey, California, where they'll get the intensive care they need. Still at the Valdez Rescue Center, 39 otters face long odds of survival. 69 others have died. The number of rescued otters has dropped in recent days. Fishermen are outraged over federal Fish and Wildlife Service rules limiting otter capture to trained crews.
I think it's a bunch of bureaucratic bull that, you know, if you got an animal out there that's dying, that we couldn't pick it up and bring it in. There's nobody more qualified than somebody that's been in Alaska 37 years, do you think?
The otters can bite them and scratch them, and people can be fairly severely hurt. The otters also can be hurt if they're not handled properly, and so we ask that people not do that.
Half a dozen official otter rescue boats patrol the vast waters of Prince William Sound.
What does that look like?
Crew members aboard the Rhoda May know they can't possibly catch every oiled animal. This day they catch none. Because of the federal edict, other boats now pass otters by.
I saw some horrible slicks today with otters right in the slicks.
Before calling it a day, the rescuers spot an otter. It appears to be a female carrying a lifeless pup.
That baby don't look like it's alive to me.
But before they can reach the otters, they disappear from sight. James Hattori, CBS News, Valdez, Alaska.
Federal researchers today said AIDS cases are increasingly turning up in the American heartland. The report said that while the proportion of new cases is actually dropping in big cities of the Northeast, it is climbing in urban areas of fewer than 500,000 people. Those findings came as scientists announced a potentially promising new weapon in the war against AIDS. As CBS News medical correspondent Susan Spencer reports, the promise is tempered with warnings.
The Chinese cucumber root seems an unlikely spot to find answers for AIDS, but scientists report promising early results from a drug made from it. They call the drug GLQ-223, or Compound Q.
I'm excited about our experimental findings, and I can't wait to see it in clinical trials.
Compound Q is a close relative of a substance used in China to induce abortions, but it seems to have unique properties against AIDS. Namely, it targets only those cells infected with the AIDS virus, killing them in the test tube, but leaving healthy immune cells alone.
Virtually all of the other AIDS drugs just prevent new cells from getting infected. GLQ-223 kills those that are already infected.
Researchers said Compound Q also kills macrophages, those specific immune cells which they found are reservoirs for the AIDS virus. But as usual with AIDS, hope is tempered with warning.
This is a highly purified product with no contaminants in it, and we caution anyone not to take a trip to China and buy this derivative.
In an unpurified form, extract from the cucumber root can produce blood clots, convulsions, and seizures.
We really urge people not to go out and obtain this stuff.
But despite the warnings and the fact that it will take years to gauge the effectiveness of it, there already are reports of patients on both coasts trying to import Compound Q. Susan Spencer, CBS News, Washington.
Late today, a federal jury in Chicago convicted sports agents Norby Walters and Lloyd Bloom on racketeering and conspiracy charges. In its sixth day of deliberation, the Chicago jury found the men guilty of charges that they defrauded 6 universities by trying to lure young college athletes into signing improper contracts and threatening to harm them if they backed out.
These days, Americans are eating foods that are low in cholesterol. Or are they? Cooked in butter, even these aren't as cholesterol-free as they could be. That's why there's Butter Flavor Pam Cooking Spray. It has a buttery flavor, yet adds no cholesterol. So you can pick foods that are low in cholesterol and keep them that way. Pam, because how you cook is as important as what you cook.
Introducing Total Raisin Bran. Other Raisin Brans have only 1/4 as much vitamin nutrition. And eating a Raisin Bran with only 1/4 the vitamin nutrition you could get is like having Mount Rushmore.
Hey.
With only one president. New Total Raisin Bran is the only Raisin Bran with 100% of 11 vitamins and minerals. Total nutrition has finally come to Raisin Bran.
Suddenly, the English muffin takes a new turn. Oatmeal Goodness Bread introduces English muffins with oat bran. All the important oat bran of a bowl of oatmeal in each one. And a crunchy, chewy taste you can't turn down. New from Oatmeal Goodness.
Sure, I want my vitamins, but I don't want to be here all morning. One glass of great-tasting Sunsweet prune juice gives me more iron and calcium than those other juices. Sunsweet, here's to your health.
Israel says 4 Arabs were killed, at least 11 wounded today when Israeli troops raided a West Bank village and ran into a violent mob. Palestinians said the toll was much higher. They called it a massacre by the Israeli occupiers. Correspondent Bob Simon is covering the uprising.
The body of one of the victims was torn from a car and carried to an Arab ambulance. The family wanted to bury the boy immediately before Israeli soldiers could take him away. It had happened before dawn in Nahalin, an obscure little town near Bethlehem, which entered the books today as the site of one of the worst bloodlettings in the 16-month-old rebellion. The boy was laid to rest as an Israeli helicopter crossed the skyline where 3 wise men once saw a star in the east. The normally moderate mayor of Bethlehem associated himself with the faces of fury in the streets.
I call it a massacre because it is a massacre when soldiers begin to shoot indiscriminately. I heard a war outside.
A nearby emergency room began to resemble a field hospital as the wounded kept streaming in. Villagers said other casualties had been carried to the hills to escape arrest. Meanwhile, Bethlehem began another day of rage as an angry crowd swelled through the narrow streets. The army maintains that the murderous cycle started turning today when a paramilitary unit entered Nahalin to make some arrests and was stoned by a mob.
They were attacked in the entrance to the village before they even started with their mission.
The army imposed a curfew on the village and ordered an investigation into the incident. Villagers say they were provoked and attacked because of their political sympathies.
Because the young people say PLO, Israel no, and we are support PLO. This is the reason.
In Bethlehem, soldiers took some people from their houses, others from the streets. Bethlehem today was the wrong place on the wrong time. Today's toll did not surprise doctors and UN observers here who've been saying that more and more weapons are being fired these days by more and more Israelis, soldiers, settlers, and policemen on what's becoming the increasingly wild West Bank of the Jordan. It sometimes seems as if anarchy has been loosed upon the territory, with the people of the book writing their own laws. Israeli settlers are increasingly involved in what appears to be recreational shooting in an outdoor gallery with moving targets. Soldiers seem to fire more quickly these days. There are more bullets, there's more hate and more desperation, as the vision of a settlement often seems to be disappearing behind a thickening cloud. Bob Simon, CBS News, Bethlehem.
What's that?
Nothing, honey.
I asked a simple question.
Norman, are you eating something?
It's nut and honey.
He lies like a dog.
Kellogg's Nut and Honey Crunch. Crisp golden flakes glazed with sweet honey and real roasted peanuts.
Irene, what's that you're playing?
Nut and honey.
Two can play this little game.
Kellogg's Nut and Honey Crunch.
Denture wearers, it's me, the Fresh Mouth, with some really fresh news. New Super Strength Polident has a minty mouthwash ingredient and now controls tartar for an even better clean. Look, new Polident cleans tough stains, actually helps prevent tartar from building up, and freshens up dentures with that great minty mouthwash ingredient. Fantastic! So listen to Martha. Try the new Super Strength Polident Green. It's a better mouth freshening clean. Ah.
Good friends and good food, but my stomach aches. My party. And Mylanta too.
Double strength Mylanta 2 with nearly double the acid neutralizing power of any leading regular strength brand.
Because my life takes Mylanta too.
When you've got hemorrhoids, walking is hard. Sitting, worse. Anusol has an anesthetic for the pain and itch of hemorrhoids. Prep H doesn't. Anusol has an anesthetic to take the hurt out of hemorrhoids.
A 13th body was found today on a ranch in Mexico near the Texas border, headquarters of a drug smuggling cult that practiced ritual slaughter of human beings. So far, the only victim to be identified for certain was Mark Kilroy, a University of Texas pre-med student. Police are questioning 5 suspects and looking for more. Ron Allen is covering the case.
Sergio Martinez, one of 5 men in custody, got a taste of Mexican justice this afternoon. Authorities made him point out a grave site. Then they made him dig up the body of the 13th victim. Martinez said he helped bury the man but did not participate in the murder. Police believe the victim was Mexican. Authorities aren't sure how many more bodies might be buried out here. They now say there's even the possibility that some of the victims might have been young children. They plan to dig up a large part of this ranch looking. In this Matamoros house, Mexican police have found blood-stained children's clothes and sacrificial items similar to the ones found at the ranch. The house belongs to Sara Maria Villarreal, the girlfriend of the cult's padrino or godfather, Adolfo de Jesus Costanzo.
The key to the whole thing are 2 subjects, which is the El Padrino and the lady, okay? When we have those people, we're going to be able to unravel a lot more than we have right now.
The search for them continues on both sides of the border. Costanzo grew up in Miami, where former neighbors say the family practiced satanic rituals.
Not a normal person. I mean, he wasn't in his right mind. All he would think about was like, Santeria, black magic, all that stuff. That was his life.
Late this afternoon, parents frightened by all of this began taking their children home from schools in Texas communities close to the border. And investigators say this killing field was part of a larger drug operation than first thought. The cult allegedly smuggling 1 ton of marijuana across the border each week and conducting a still undetermined number of ritualistic murders intended to protect its operation. Ron Allen, CBS News, Matamoros, Mexico.
The Securities and Exchange Commission today announced it had reached a settlement of massive civil securities fraud charges brought against Drexel Burnham Lambert, the Wall Street investment banking house. This apparently clears the way for Drexel's previously announced agreement to plead guilty to criminal fraud charges and pay a record $650 million fine, but with nobody going to jail. And Drexel announced the appointment of John Shadd, a former SEC chairman, as chairman of Drexel's board.
Which plant food is best for you? After 10 years of testing at a great university, Miracle Grow rated best. These champion gardeners in the Guinness Book of World Records just heard the results.
It's no surprise. Miracle Grow always gives me more.
Miracle Grow's been real good for me.
Didn't take me 10 years to know nothing beats Miracle Grow.
A great university proved it. Champion gardeners know it. Miracle Grow gives you more. Now the Miracle Grow no-clog feeder. So easy you'll feed your whole yard in minutes.
Because the menu lifestyle was designed with my health in mind.
Ow! I feel good. I knew that I would now. So good. So good. I got you.
If you want to control your sodium, cholesterol, and fat intake, Delicious the menu lifestyle lets you feel.
So good, so good, I got you.
Just a sprinkle. Helps keep
odor away.
Feel fresh with Shower to Shower. All our powders help keep you dry and smelling clean between showers.
Have you had your sprinkle today?
We've studied your mouth from every angle and created a toothbrush with a very special angle, the Reach toothbrush, with a dental angle designed to clean even back teeth better, to get your teeth 51% cleaner than the other leading brush. Reach for 51% cleaner teeth.
Pennsylvania authorities awaited autopsy reports today on Abby Hoffman, leading prankster, Vietnam War protester with a talent for publicity of the 1960s, fugitive from drug-dealing charges in the 1970s, environmental activist of the 1980s. The one-time symbol of a youth culture that was told not to trust anyone over 30, Abby Hoffman died at 52. Correspondent Richard Roth reports on Abby Hoffman's trip from age of Aquarius to death at middle age.
Abby Hoffman didn't invent the 1960s, but he was always center stage, an anti-war activist and a clown prince of the counterculture, a self-proclaimed leftist, though he often seemed inspired more by Groucho Marx than by Karl.
They're going to have to cut off a lot more than our hair to stop the revolutionary fervor growing among young people. They're going to have to cut our heads off.
The whole world first started watching Hoffman in Chicago in 1968. Founder of the Youth International Party, the Yippies, a defendant in the Chicago 7 trial on charges of disrupting the Democratic National Convention. Abby Hoffman, 1968.
We have come to Chicago to fight!
Abby Hoffman, 1988.
It's not a popular job to stand on the corner and yell at the emperor has no clothes on, but this is how you measure democracy, by its dissidents, not by its conformants.
Hoffman was 52 when he died last night at his home in Pennsylvania. The cause of death unannounced, pending autopsy results.
How's it feel to be a law-breaking creep?
By one count, he was arrested 42 times, trespassing, disorderly conduct, mostly charges stemming from protest demonstrations. Though in 1973, caught in a cocaine bust, he jumped bail and disguised himself with middle-class respectability, until surrendering in 1980, saying times had changed.
This is the first time I'm in no hurry.
I was there, and that was...
He made his living as a writer and public speaker and made his mark on a generation. William Kunstler was his lawyer and friend.
This man had a genius for picking the right moment to say the right thing or do the right thing to bring out a political point.
Campuses today have become hotbeds of social rest. Campus life.
When people said he was stuck in the 60s, Hoffman said, that's right, stuck with a social conscience and a desire to get involved.
We were young, we were reckless, we were headstrong, we were impatient, we were excessive, but God damn it, we were right.
But it's sad to be nostalgic, he said just last week. Nostalgia, said Abby Hoffman, is a sign of middle age. Richard Roth, CBS News, New York.
And that's the CBS Evening News. We hope you will stay tuned now for 48 hours on the agonizing debate over when the very ill have the right to die. That's 48 hours, Dying Wish, tonight at 8, 7 Central Time. Until then, Dan Rather.
Dying Wish, the fight for the right to die.
She lived with dignity, and that's how she wants to die.
48 hours tonight.
This is CBS.